Do you guys hear that?
Is that boss music?
Go naked and just go with the sword, and that's it.
What do I do with all this?
It says it in the title.
I'm a slut for roguelites.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Unearthing Games Podcast. My name is Erica, and I'll be your lead excavator today. I am also joined today by Jacob.
Howdy. How's
and
it going,
Nick.
Hi.
And we dig games. What have you guys been up to this week?
Not a whole lot. School, Played a lot of Valheim. Got back into No Man's Sky recently. That was fun. I can see Nick glaring at me.
I'm not
glaring. He's like,
I'm not
I bought you Valheim.
No.
You should be playing Valheim.
I'm not glaring at you. If anything, I want to do the whole chime in where I'm like, didn't they have their pet update?
They did. They did just have their pet update.
Because No Man's Sky, I'm so proud of them for continuing to support the game.
But they kind of have to when they just failed miserably at launch
to
live up to expectations.
But I feel like they've made up for it since then. They've made up for it, and now they're going, to infinity and beyond with their game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so I've been doing that. Schoolwork. I've had reports and stuff due. So it's been busy. But
Is
it's
it
been
midterms?
Good.
When are midterms?
Midterms are a couple weeks from now.
Yeah, aren't you about to
Or
have
maybe
spring break or something?
Spring day, you mean?
Day.
Yeah, it's a 3-day weekend is what they gave us for spring break.
Oh, because y'all lost all the days to the snow and stuff, so they're like, we're not giving you a spring break. You had your post-winter break.
That's
no.
funny.
They actually specifically said that winter break is not going to affect anything.
Oh.
Then
why do they only give you a long weekend for spring break? It's supposed to be a week.
Because last year, this time, was when the school shut down for COVID.
Oh.
And they're like, yeah, since we did that last year, you're not going to have a good spring break this year.
That's kind of
But
dumb.
what if you weren't even in school last year?
Yeah.
I was in school last year.
All these new college students,
talking about,
it's their
the
first
new
time.
Freshmen. Yeah, the new freshmen that are like, oh yeah, first spring break. And it's like, no, you don't get one.
Sucks to suck. What are you going to do on spring break? You're 18. Calm down.
You can't even drink yet.
Well,
you can't even have
college
fun.
Student really can.
And that stops any of them.
I can drink.
Yeah, but you're going for your master's, so that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm talking about undergrad.
It's more of like a drowning my sorrows and not so much of a party.
It's a thing.
But no, so yeah, spring break is coming up and it'll be fun. It'll be good.
Yeah.
The little bit we have. What about you, Nick? What have you been up to?
Playing Valheim, like Jacob said. I'm really proud of myself for getting Jacob, Phil, our cousin Chase, and Jacob's friend Max. I got all of them pulled into Valheim, and we all have our little village we've built. We have a castle with some.
Oh yeah.
They're walls. They work. I would say that they keep the monsters at bay, but not anymore because the monsters spawn within the walls. So.
Okay, I fixed
it.
It
is what it is.
Though. Anyway.
Yeah. But having a ton of fun with Viking Minecraft. I sail around a lot. I almost sailed to the edge of the world. I haven't gotten there yet.
Oof.
Yeah.
What about you, Erica? What have you been up to?
I've had a really relaxed week this week. I picked up a new Nancy Drew game, so I've been playing that a little bit. Then Nick and I started playing Minecraft again.
Oh no.
Project Ozone 3. Just so good.
So I'm very happy. I finally got my hands on a RTX graphics card. Probably paid more than I should have, but I got one finally, so I can actually play games and stuff on my computer without worrying.
Her
that
graphics
it's
card probably cost more than most of my PC. So
ooh, nice.
But it's also more powerful than my PC.
Most of your PC.
So I get
her graphics card alone is more powerful than your PC.
It takes my computer's lunch money kind of thing,
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so I'm very happy about that. It's finally done. I don't have to my next goal is water cooling for it, but that's way in the future.
Right. Well, that's good.
Liquid cooling.
Yeah.
Liquid coolant.
That's all I've been up to. I played those games and then the game I'm going to talk about. But I haven't gone back really to any other. I've been wanting to go back to They Are Billion so I can try to actually win one. I haven't
Finish
done
it
that
up.
yet.
You got this. I believe in you.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah.
But sure.
All right. So let's go into the games we played this week. Nick, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, sure. So the game that I played this week is called Stasis. This is a game developed and published by a group called The Brotherhood. I had actually never heard of them before until I kickstarted a game by them. And this is like their original baby. The one that I kickstarted was like their third game. So I went back and I was like, let's check this bad boy out. And so it is a well, snap. Let's just say that the tags sum it up. So its tags on Steam are adventure, horror, point-and-click, sci-fi, indie. So the point-and-click horror gist is the whole spiel of the game. It is a very horror-themed kind of thing. It has a lot of like Dead Space vibes. Did you ever play Dead Space? Or have you seen anybody play Dead Space? You know, that whole... You're these people on this somewhat abandoned ship, and you're trying to figure out, like, where the heck is everybody?
Yeah.
And there's, like, monsters, but you don't ever really see the monsters. They're, like, in the walls, and you hear them, like, clink, 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 kind of stuff. That's this game. So, like, your guy wakes up from, like, cryostasis, like you were in some sort of pod, and he knows nothing. He doesn't know where the heck he's at. He doesn't know what's going on. He, like, woke up because of some malfunction that opened his pod.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I guess he's been in there for, like, 10 years or 15 years because he was, like, on a flight to one of the moons of Jupiter with his family.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so the whole plot of the game is he is trying to find out what happened to his wife and daughter as you're adventuring through the ship. So it's all point and click, so it has a lot of those funny environmental puzzles where it's like, oh, if I pick up this drill, then I can take the drill over here and I interact with the one thing to, like, drill open the lock on the toolbox, and that's how I get the wrench, and I use the wrench to break a glass thing, and, you know, it does those sort of stair-step puzzles, I guess you could kind of call them.
I was going to ask, does it have any actual puzzles, like Nancy Drew type puzzles?
It did. I would say they are definitely not on the level of Nancy Drew puzzles, because I didn't have to Google solutions to those. There were a few times I did have to Google, what the heck am I supposed to do next? Because it's like I'm sitting here with, like, a torn sweatshirt, a shard of glass, and a drill, and I cannot figure out what the heck I have to do to turn on the elevator. You know, I'm not MacGyver, so what do I do? And
I love how we can tell the difficulty of a puzzle by how long it takes next to go to Google.
I'll have you know, I got through, like, the first couple of bits before I had to Google anything.
That's fair.
I would say it's a little bit in the, like, is unintuitive a word? It's a bit unintuitive where it's figuring out where you can actually walk. Because it's these really well done, like, hand-drawn sort of, like, environments. So, like, the environments look great to the point that, like, watching your animated guy move around, he looks out of place on the backdrop.
Yeah.
But everything looked so great, but it was kind of hard to tell, like, is this bottom left corner, is that a door? Is that a hallway? Can I go down there? I don't really know.
Can I do stuff there?
And I just have to click over there and have him walk that way, and when he gets close enough to a thing, he goes through the door. It's like, oh, okay.
Like, your cursor doesn't change shape or anything to indicate that there's a door there?
Not always.
Okay.
Not always that I found. Like, most of the time, the doors were always somewhere where you could easily see them, but every so often it would be, like, in the bottom left or right of this, like, isometric view, you know?
Yeah.
So it was a really fun game. I honestly really enjoyed it. I'm not usually into point-and-click adventure games, but this actually, it hooked me immediately. Like, the whole, where the heck am I? Where's my family? Kind of thing, I thought was great. And then figuring out what the heck happened to the ship and the crew was pretty cool. It did have a funny mechanic that I thought was a bit weird, that all of the achievements for this game are finding creative ways to die. Because you know how, like, Nancy Drew, you have the whole, like, you know, oh, you get that like retry screen where it's like, oh, Nancy screwed up and she got caught, and now, you know, try again. Well, this whole thing is like, if you mess up on certain puzzles or mess up in certain ways, your guy dies, and it just takes you back to the last time you saved. Well, all the achievements are like finding creative ways to kill yourself. And some of them aren't even that creative. Like, one of them was literally just, I took the drill item and used it on myself.
Oh my god!
And he drills himself, and it's like, that's like, why would you do that? So it kind of became like a scavenger hunt where it's like, all right, how can I kill myself now? And so
do you just interact on yourself with every item to see how it can kill you?
By the end of it, yes, that was what I was doing. Anytime I picked up a new item, I was like, let's see. And yeah, more creative ways as you go. And then the hard ones were finding ways that you could use the items on the environment to kill yourself. So there was one that I had to go, I missed like 2 achievements. And so after I finished it, I went and Googled, like, how did I get those? It's like, oh, you missed these 2 spots back in chapter 1. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go all the way back there and do it again.
Yeah.
So I didn't 100% it, but I really liked it. So yeah, like I said, isometric point and click adventure, really cool, like dystopian future kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that. You know me, I'm a sucker for a good dystopian story. And this is similar to the future that Dead Space gives you. It's kind of like Earth's exhausted all of its resources, and so now we're out taking stuff from every other planet we find in the galaxy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
typical.
That it seems like it's that kind of world. They don't take too deep of a dive into it. You have to like read all of the notes you find to get all of that, which I started to read all of them because I thought it was actually really interesting.
I was about to ask if there were any type of like audio logs or things that you had to find to get this more of the story and background other than just playing through.
Yes, there are audio logs you can find, and there are like little like PDA logs. I guess everybody that was on this crew was encouraged to like keep a personal log, basically. And so every so often you would find personal logs from like important people. Like I found one for like the head of the hydroponics department and like all of the weird experiments that she was doing with plants and stuff. You know? So pretty cool story. I would definitely recommend it. If you like puzzle games, if you like horror games, if you like point and click adventure games, then I would say this is probably among the best that I've seen. Like I've watched several people play them online. So yeah.
Nice.
So that was my thing.
Cool.
What was it again?
It was called Stasis, and it's by The Brotherhood.
The Brotherhood.
Yeah,
Brotherhood.
Like I said, Stasis came out several years ago, so it's actually a really reasonable price on Steam.
Yeah, it says it was released in 2015.
Wow.
Like I said, I kickstarted a game for them, and the game that I got from them, I was like, wow, this looks amazing. What else has this group done?
Mm-hmm.
And they had this one, Stasis, which I played through. And they also had a free one called Kane. It's Kayne, that I haven't played yet, but it's another point-and-click adventure game.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Set in this same universe. And I downloaded it. I just haven't played it yet because, there's too many games to play. And I was like, it's free, so yay in the collection.
Yay. Free things is always nice.
Yes. The low price of absolutely nothing.
Right.
All right. What game did you play this week, Jacob?
Ooh, okay. So my game is called Wildermyth by Worldwalker Games, LLC. Both developer and publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing this game at PAX one year. And
I think I was with you when we saw this one.
You were definitely with me. I definitely remember you being there. And I remember distinctly that I didn't play it.
Well, yeah, I think their booth was like packed. Probably
they had a lot of people there. I just remember watching like people play it, and I was like, that looks really. It's got a really nice like, almost like like pop-up book art.
Yeah.
Right. That's
like
the kind of art style it has. All of the characters and the assets are all 2D, like cardboard cutouts almost of players.
Yeah, I think Paper Mario is definitely a good comparison.
And anyway, so it is a team-based tactical RPG.
Ooh, I do love those.
And there are, I think, 3 like campaigns that you run that are actually like that have stories attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
And each campaign is done in between 3 and 5 acts, right? So you start off a campaign with like 3 characters, and usually it gives you one of each class, because there are 3 classes. There's your warrior class, your ranger / rogue class, and your mystic, the mystic class.
Mm-hmm.
And you just run through a story. It's basically like quick rolling D&D characters and going for it.
Okay.
And it'll give you like a nice little procedural map that has regions and everything. And it's great because there are random events as well as you're traversing the world map. And they'll reference the region you're in, even though it's procedurally generated and has a random name. They'll reference it anyway. And the events are so funny. Well, not necessarily funny. And all of your dialogue is in like comic boxes, right? Like they're in comic frames.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And just like if you really like stories and really getting into the narrative of what your characters are doing, then this is a great one. Like there was a random event I had that we found this rock that looked like a wolf's head, right? And one of my characters was enthralled by it, and I had the option to let her either ignore it or go to it and do something on it. And I was like, you know what? Go to it. See what happens. And she gets like this blessing from a wolf god. and she starts turning into a wolf.
Oh gosh.
Oh gosh, a blessing and a curse in disguise.
Well, so it's interesting because this is where the axe part plays in. So yeah, at the start she gets a wolf head, and it's kind of wonky. It's interesting, but
so just her head is a wolf.
Yeah, just her head is the wolf. But when you complete the objective of Act 1, right, you move into Act 2. Well, it'll tell you some amount of years that have passed between Acts 1 and 2, and it'll give you a little depiction of what your characters were doing between acts. And always, if somebody has one of these effects, they gain another body part that changes.
Oh.
So I came back to the next for the next act, and she had a wolf leg.
Oh.
and there's that I know of, there's at least 4 of those kinds of conditions.
Okay.
Like a wolf and like a bat and
well, no,
stuff.
like they're all different. Like one of them I think one of them is bound to happen. Like it's going to happen eventually as part of one of the stories.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's like a crystalline being. But it also changes how that person plays because it changes like what weapons they can have available.
Okay. Well, yeah, it changes their stats and available abilities and stuff, probably.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, and they're all like that. Once you beat a campaign, you can turn your characters into legacy characters, so you can use them in the random, like 3-act or 5-act campaign. They're not. I don't think they actually have stories attached to them. I don't know for sure. I haven't played one of those, but they're not named. Mm-hmm. They are literally just named 3-act, 5-act campaign. That's all they are.
It's kind of like your way of like if you're tired of a certain character, you can kind of like put them out to pasture, and they show up in a different act kind of thing.
Exactly, because your characters have retirement ages as well.
Okay.
So when they retire, they go to legacy, and you can use them in one of your legacy campaigns. Or they could die. That's also a deal.
Always a possibility.
And it's great because, see, I wanted this kind of thing in like a D&D campaign because when they die, they have 3 options in death, right? They can either be maimed, so they will lose an appendage, so they'll come back after the battle with either a hook hand or a peg leg. It's wonderful.
Okay.
Or you can have them killed, like you can let them die. In death, they can either grant a bonus to your other characters that are still in the combat, or they can do some damage to whatever killed them.
Okay.
So it's kind of like oh no,
throw kind of
Johnny died, I'm gonna fight to avenge him, and they fight better for the rest of the battle kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Or it's like his last act is to deal some more damage.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really neat. The stories they have are actually they're actually pretty decent. They're actually pretty good. And yeah, it's, if you like little, they're not one shots, because you do, like, a campaign does kind of take a while to go through, but the random nature of the game is just really great, and how everything is different every time you play it. It's just, you get new people, new places, new things to do. It's really fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah, and it says that this is still early access, so they're still working on this.
Yes, it is still early access, currently $20 on Steam. I would definitely support this game. It's really great.
So it looks awesome. Like I'm remembering more and more about when we saw this at PAX and the pitch from the guy, and like on paper, the dude was... I mean, I guess no pun intended. On paper, this sounds like epic fantasy story generator 9000 kind of thing. So it's like it's like generating your own little Lord of the Rings epic, every time you play through a campaign kind of thing.
It kind of is, because almost always your objective in the act is like across the world.
Well, yeah.
And usually I work more on, because the world is also, like, in your first act, the world is like kind of limited. Mm-hmm. Right, you only have so much area available to explore in, and as you go through the acts, the world builds and builds and builds.
And it's kind of like just cones out until you have like a lot of options.
Yeah, and like every place that you haven't explored yet is grayed out. And gosh, there's just even events like during the act, like if you spend too much time like meandering around, the bad guys get harder. Random events happen, like invasions, so baddies who have like infested one region will shift over to another one.
Okay.
And,
like,
did
you
another.
Stop the Orc King? It's like, nope. Well, guess what? The Orc hordes are moving on.
Yeah, it's like, did you clear out these places? No. You should probably think about that, because you're also like the amount of years of peace you have in between acts is dependent on how well you cleared the area before you beat the place.
Yeah.
And some final objectives are contingent on clearing the area before you actually finish the act.
Okay.
I don't know. It's really fun. I've had a few characters die. I have a few characters that are in Legacy that I really want to like start another one with, because they were just so great. They keep their weapons and all that in Legacy as well. So I have some really decent weapons on the guys that I want to try, that I want to go back and play other campaigns in. It's really cool. So that's Wildermyth by Worldwalker Games, LLC.
It looks really cool, honestly. Like, looking at the Steam page, like, I'm honestly surprised that I didn't buy this impulsively back when we first saw it.
It's because you weren't that impulsive back then.
That's true. So, but yeah,
I don't know, it's really unique art style. I really like the art style.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
really
a sucker
cute.
for a unique, like, well done art style, and that's definitely what this is.
But yeah. So about you, Erica? What were you playing this week?
So this week I played Orion Trail, and this is by Shell Games, and that's SCHELL. Shell Games. Both developed and published. And so from the title Orion Trail, it's very Oregon Trail. So this game is like Oregon. Oh, sorry, the tags. The tags are indie, adventure, great soundtrack, and sci-fi. So this game is like a mixture between Oregon Trail, FTL, and Star Trek. Is how I would describe it.
I mean, I could get that just from looking at the little picture up here on the top of their Steam page with like the derpy blonde Captain Kirk guy holding up his pistol. It's like,
yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
totally
you start out, the whole premise of the game is you are manning this ship, and you have to get to the end of this galaxy. You have to explore the galaxy, basically. And along the way, you spend resources like fuel. You have hull points for damage. You have food, and you also have crew. So the crew number is mostly just like the red shirts that no one cares about. The icon actually has red shirts on it. And when you go on, you can go on away missions, and they just have little red shirts. They all have names when you go on away missions, but no one really cares. But then you pick then you pick your 4 main people. So you've got your captain, your first officer, you've got the engineer, and then you've got like the comms person, I believe, are the 4. And each of them have a certain level of like traits. They're like, it's either attack, tactics, diplomacy, science, or bravado. Are the different traits that you can have, and basically the total level of traits on your ship determines how well you'll do in each of the little instances or interactions that you come across. So sort of like FTL, the map is, dots based, and you're going from one point to the next. And you have different paths you can go, and just depends on which area you want to go to, what you want to find. Each little planet or star or whatever it is that's on the map offers different benefits, so you can actually see that as before you go there. You can say like, oh well, if I go over here, I have the chance to get food, or if I go over here, there's fuel, things like that. So you can pick your path based on what you need at the time. And so, like I said, you use food and fuel as you're moving through. So each like pip that you move is 3 food and 10 fuel, so you got to make sure you have that. And then your crew, I didn't realize was important the first round. Your crew is pretty important because you need them kind of like as cannon fodder type of stuff. If you don't have your crew, then your main 4 people start taking damage and start being negatively affected. And so the way I died in one of my runs is the entire ship starved to death because we ran out of fuel and food. But so each of these little encounters, it's different, and it varies like FTL. But it'll give you 3 options to choose from, and they're based on the different skills that you can have. So it could be like diplomacy, science, and tactics, or whatever, and you pick the one that you're best at. And the way it determines if you're successful or not is just like a little spinning wheel type of thing. And the more points you have in that skill, the more passes you're going to get on that spinning wheel. So the better you are, the more likely you're going to pass it. And so that's really cute. I really liked it. And that's pretty much it. Like I said, you're trying to balance all of your things and get through the entire galaxy at the same time, and it's very hard. Something that's really cute too is that you'll just be traveling from one point to the next, and you'll run into a little what is it called? Like a little tombstone. Like a little tombstone. Yeah. And it'll be like, do you want to go visit and pay respects? And so you can go and visit. There's one example on the Steam page, and it says, Garth was eaten by warp weasels. And then it's got, and they're always really cute. Like there was one I found that was like, something sharpshooter. Turns out he needed to learn how to shoot or something like that. And it was just like, that's cute. But when you go there, it could either be like a trap or it could be like a benefit. So there was one time I went, and then we were gonna fly away, and as soon as we got in the ship, like little turrets popped up out of the ground from the gravesite and started shooting at us. So we lost some hull points. But then there was also one time where we went to go visit to pay our respects, and there was extra fuel laying around, so we got to take fuel with us, and it was a bonus.
Hey.
But yeah, I think it's really cute. If you ever run out of fuel, you have to stop, obviously, and you put out an SOS signal and wait for someone to come and rescue you. And that's where, like, like I said, I starved to death because I ran out of fuel and we were waiting and we ran out of food. And when, so once you run out of food, then you start losing crew members. And then once you lose your crew members, then each of your 4 people, they all have 3 pips of health. They start losing 1 pip of health per like turn that you're waiting. And so everyone died.
Ooh.
But here's my question to you. Did anybody get space dysentery?
No, there's no dysentery.
Because I mean, it's not Oregon Trail if you don't get dysentery.
If you don't die of dysentery.
Yeah, and then the away missions are interesting. So of your 3, so the captain doesn't get to go on the away missions, but the other 3, you pick one of them. Hopefully they have good skills, and you send them down with some red shirts, and they encounter whatever they find, and there's options again where it's like, oh, this one's a tactics or a, science type quest. Is my person good at it? And it's like, okay, well, I'll try it. But as you're going through, and with these ones, each of your crew members counts as a spot on the wheel. And so if you spin it and you land on a crew member, you succeed in the mission, but that crew member dies. So as you go, if you keep doing that, you'll lose all your crew members, and the odds continually get worse for you. Like your odds of succeeding keep going down, so you keep losing crew, and your odds are going down. And so there was one point where I lost one of I think it was like my comms person, because he went on an away mission, and everyone died.
But like they're all fulfilling their red shirt destiny, where it's like, Captain, a Klingon, and they just die, like right away. Like that's all that Instant Ricky is meant to do.
Yeah.
So,
but they all have really funny names, and each of the people that you pick, you get like 3 options every time you're gonna pick one of your positions, and they have cute little backstories, and I think it's really cute. It's really funny, very, very much a Star Trek based game. There's a lot of references to that.
Man, I scrolled further down on this because it has mostly positive reviews, but it doesn't have that many reviews on Steam, right?
Oh,
and like the first couple of people are like negative reviews, and I'm reading it, I'm like, did you people ever actually play Oregon Trail? Because they're all like, this is all just random, it's just RNG, there's no skill required to this. It's like, that was Oregon Trail, man. Like you're just trucking along, and all of a sudden it's like, flip, the axle broke. I guess we're stuck. We have to wait for someone to buy an axle off of. Or, oh no, little Jacob's got pneumonia.
Someone got bit by a snake.
And died. Oh gosh, we're at the river. I guess we have to caulk the wagon and swim across.
Oh, yeah.
Like, but it was all just RNG. Like, it was like, well, I hope we make it across. I mean, that's what this game is. Like, but they're all like, I hate it. It's random. This one guy, though, I could get his frustration. The end of his review is, I play FTL, and I loved FTL, and I was hoping this would be a good FTL replacement.
No.
It's not FTL.
No, it's not FTL. It's a space-themed game where you're moving from point to point on a map. I think that's the closest to FTL you can get with this one.
The little star jumps. That's all it looks like.
So. It's a space-themed Oregon Trail. That's what this is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely all RNG, even though, and like, to start off, like, your skills that you have, it's all like 1 or 2 points in each person. So no matter what, you guys are not very good at anything, so you're not going to succeed a lot in your mission, so it's going to be a lot of negative things.
It's like the low-budget Star Trek crew, What if Scotty was just an okay engineer? That's what it seems like. But it was a really cute game. Like, I'm actually really glad you stumbled upon it, because, like, you played a bit, and then I came to watch you play, and I was like, this is adorable. Like,
it's adorable. I love it. It's really adorable. I love all the little names of the people, and it's just cute. Like, it is RNG, but I like it. It's cute enough.
So basically, don't go into this game thinking you can actually apply any sort of skill.
Yeah.
It's literally just rolling the dice and hoping your red shirts don't all die before you make it to the end.
Yeah, because even if you're like, oh, I'm low on food, this star has an possibility of getting me food. You're probably not going to get it. Like, the odds aren't in your favor.
Oh, yeah, it was really cute. Oof. Really cute game.
It looks really neat. It looks really fun.
Right. But yes, so that was Orion Trail by Shell Games.
Nice.
All right.
Really
Now
cool.
that we
Really
went
cool.
through our video games, let's talk about the board game we played through. Who wants to kick it off?
Oh boy.
I'll kick us off. I'll do it. I volunteers tribute.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so the board game that we played this week is Wingspan. This was designed by Elizabeth Hargrave. The art, which was fantastic, is by Ana Maria Martinez. Oh, hold on. Ana Maria Martinez Jaramillo?
Aramil.
I apologize. I didn't mean to butcher your name.
Something
We have
like that.
Natalia Rojas and Beth Sobel. So, again, the art for this game was just phenomenal. And it was
spot
published
on.
by Stonemaier Games. So I feel like we've played Stonemaier games before. The name sounds familiar. But we saw this game all over the internet last year. This was like the game of 2020. I guess, it was really popular. I kept seeing this box art, which is this beautiful, like, scissor tail something bird. We kept seeing that box art show up everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it was just a fantastic game. Like, it's really cute. The whole premise is that you are all playing birders. Is that the term? What's the term for people that watch birds? Or that, I don't know.
I think it calls you birders.
Yeah, like every player is a birder, and you are trying to attract different birds into your particular, like, animal sanctuary or whatever you want to call it. And so the whole premise is to basically draw in the best birds to get the most points and win, you know? And so everyone is competing over who can get the best birds. That's the most watered down explanation I can think of the rules. But snap, I'm trying to think of where to even start.
Right. It seems like a big game at first. And it's definitely one of those that it starts to make a lot of sense as you play it. Like you start understanding the mechanics and how a turn works and all that stuff.
Yeah, no, that hooks me into a good spot. Thank you for talking about the turns. So it definitely it does have a big table presence. So, like, if you just pull all the pieces out and kind of set it up, you're kind of like, wow, there is a lot of pieces to this. Where do I even start? You start by building the adorable birdhouse dice tower that comes in the box, which I did, and I popped all the pieces out without even reading the instructions, and I was like, oh no, I should have read the instructions.
Of course you should.
So I popped them out, and I put the bird tower together, all right, and it works wonderfully because it has a cute dice tower. It's got a bunch of funny dice that have little animal symbols on them. But, again, I get distracted. So back to the turn order. So every player has little action cubes that they can spend on their turn. So every round has the player starts out with eight action cubes. I'm trying to think what to call them. Yeah. And so you just keep going around in circles until everyone's used up all their cubes, and that will finish the round. So the actions that a player could take vary depending upon what you've got on your board. So obviously you can play a bird card, and you play a bird to one of the three different environments that you have on your play mat. So there's like forest, grasslands, and water.
Yes.
I don't know.
Wetlands.
Wetlands. There you go. Wetlands. And so you could play birds to the various environments. Certain birds can only go to certain types. You could choose to play a bird. You can choose to draw food cubes from the bird feeder dice tower. And so the food is what you need, is the currency you spend to play birds.
Attract birds.
There you go, to attract birds. So do you want to attract birds that like fruit? Well, you have to play little cherries, right? There's cherries, wheat, mice, fish, and worms.
Yeah.
Yes. And so the birds all have varying costs. So some might cost like a worm and a fish. Some might cost a cherry and a wheat. It really just depends on the type of bird. So you can choose to draw food. You could choose to have your birds lay eggs, because you're working your way from left to right across your player board. And when you get to the farther right segments of your board, you have to actually spend eggs to also play your birds. So it's
on
kind
top
of
on top of whatever they require for.
Yeah, on top of their food cost. So it's kind of got this nice little action economy sort of thing where it's kind of like, how do I get the most bang for my buck out of my moves? You know?
Yeah. And everybody has secret objectives that they're trying to meet before the game ends. So it's got that, it's got kind of like a Parks feel, almost.
Yeah.
It really does.
In that.
It really does.
Like, my entire experience really just reminded me of Parks, which I feel like is why I really enjoyed it so much. Like, the art is very good, just like Parks' was.
Mm-hmm. It teaches you a little bit about what you're playing, like Parks does.
Yeah.
Just like Parks, because every bird card has the little like
fun fact.
snippet fun fact about it, and then what environments you can find it in.
Right. Also, whenever you put your little block down for a turn, right? That's not really the end of it, because you put your block down, you gain whatever resources, eggs, draw cards you want, and then you start moving it down the track back to the left hand side, and your birds, some of them will have activatable abilities, things that you can do whenever your little pet lands on them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But there's also secret objectives they're not really secret objectives. There are objectives for the individual rounds, because the game is played in 4 rounds, right? And after every round, you have to give up an action dice, or not. It's not a dice, an action cube.
Yeah.
To mark what place you'd made on the objective for that round.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I remember, like, one of the ones we had was birds or eggs in this type of nest, and so you have to look at all your bird cards and be like, okay, because they have like some fun little. You have your card. All the cards have their information on them. You know how much points the bird is worth, their nest type, how many eggs you can have on that bird, their wingspan, which was a fun one.
Yeah.
But so, like, you know, whoever has the most eggs in this type of nest gets the first place. Mm-hmm. Second place goes, you know, obviously to the second person, and if someone ties, they both get it. Cool.
Yeah, and that's worth so many victory points depending on who gets
at
first.
The end.
First or second, or first, second, or third kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you do that once a round, because every round has a secret or has an objective.
Yeah.
So it's one of those
really neat way to kind of make the it makes it so that you have less actions as the game progresses on, so you kind of have to be smarter about your moves.
Right. Yeah. Right, because every round you're giving up an action to mark your place on the deal, and you have to, because it's part of the game. Like, there's none of this like I don't want to. It's like, I don't want to be scored. I don't want to. I don't want to do it.
I'll keep it.
I'll just eat it.
It's all contest.
No, you have to give up an action every round. So by round 4, you have 5 actions from your 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was really neat. It is definitely one of those games that it is intimidating to look at. Mm-hmm. But once you start playing, you're like, oh, this is cakewalk. It's a very easy game to get into.
Oh yeah, that's what we first broke it open, because like this is one of the ones, like, Erica on a whim, like, you bought a whole bunch of board games like all at once. I think like 6 of them came in the mail.
Yeah, I think I bought 6 of them all at once.
And this one came in that, and I remember we opened it up, and it did take us a bit to figure out how to set it up.
Yeah. Well, the first time we also played this was during the snow here in Texas and the blackouts. So we were playing by we had a little like Pullman lantern type thing. So we were playing by lantern in our kitchen.
Yeah, it was great.
Bird watching by lantern light.
Yeah. But once everybody has a general idea of how the game works, it is super fast. Like, it says 40 to 70 minutes to play. I think the 70, like, that's assuming that there's at least one person who has never played before.
Or has, like, analysis paralysis. And they're like, oh, well, if I take that food, then he won't be able to get the food, and then I'll, that kind of thinking.
Hey, Phil wasn't playing with us. Okay.
He didn't play. You're right, he didn't play. We got to draw him in, though. He would love this game.
Oh, he would. No, he was almost there.
It's the kind where you can fight for yourself, but also fight to hurt others. So,
right. So great. But no, it's just really something that you can easily get into. It's really
very low barrier for entrance. So I could kind of understand why
it
was
so
2020's game of the I don't think it ever got an award for Game of the Year. Maybe it did.
Well,
I don't know. I don't know who gives away those awards, but I could see how it could have won Game of the Year for 2020.
Also, on Board Game Geek's website, it actually lists all the awards it won.
Oh man!
I don't think it was actually so it was the Jug Adult Game of the Year winner last year. But really, all of their awards and nominations were in 2019 because this game came out in 2019.
Oh.
So maybe all of the stuff that we saw on the internet about it was just carryover from 2019.
Yeah.
I mean, because
maybe
I could see this being one of those like iconic sort of games that like Catan, where like it goes on for a long time, and people will remember Wingspan. You know, long after like it's not the new hotness anymore, but it's still like a game that people are like, hey, remember Wingspan? It's a freaking fantastic game.
Yeah,
right,
and I think the fact that they had a mod, right? You could buy the mod on Tabletop Sim, and that's all scripted and stuff. I feel like that, and the lockdowns and stuff of COVID brought this game probably more into the spotlight.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and I saw that because on top of the mod, the paid mod that we got for Tabletop Sim, you can also just buy it as a standalone, because like there's like this new resurgence of like digital board games, I guess, or like everybody's making a digital, like a Steam version of their board game, and Wingspan has one as well, because I think we even got a coupon.
Yeah, we got a discount code with it. Yeah,
it was like, hey, go buy Wingspan the video game for 20% off on Steam. Go do it. And I was like, I will, but first I'm going to buy the Tabletop Sim DLC as well. And I really hope that they get a cut of that money.
Yeah.
Because like this is a great game, and I want to support, this sort of stuff. Give them my money. Please make more games.
Definitely. No.
Yeah, it was really pretty. The one thing that I didn't really like about this game was the tutorial. So when we first played the game during the blackouts and stuff, we played with what is it called? It says it on the website.
It has like a tutorial scenario where it's like basically like a mock run.
Yeah, the
like
Swift
a walkthrough.
Start promo pack is what it's called.
There you go.
And so basically what this has is it has one giant like play card for each player in like a 5-player game, and it kind of walks you through like 4 actions. Yeah, like 4 actions, and each player is different. It also comes with specific cards that each player is supposed to use. And so when Nick and I played it, we played it with, just player 1 and 2, and we took the cards and everything. And we performed the actions, but what I noticed and what I didn't really care for was that the quick start or swift start, it really forced you into one habitat, and so the habitats do different things. The forest does food, the grasslands does laying eggs, and then the wetlands is drawing cards. So mine was very heavy into the wetlands, so I guess my build was to draw cards. And Nick's was all about the food, and so he had tons of food all the time. Like we ended up playing that game out all the way to the end, and I just struggled I struggled a lot with getting any food, because the way the game started off, it just told me to put everything into my wetlands, which got rid of all of my food tokens. And so then I was having to use the lowest level of the food, area, which was only 1 cube, while Nick was getting 3 at a time. And it was just like, I can't get enough food to put enough birds out there, but I have tons of cards that I can't do anything with, until finally I got one of those where you can tuck a card type of thing. But I felt like the tutorial really forced you into one direction and didn't really help you understand the game as far as like how to play it and what to do. I feel like it was a lot better to just play through a round, and that's when I really understood what was going on.
Yeah.
As far as like the swift start, like I personally wouldn't play the swift start, and I wouldn't make anyone else play it either.
Well, like while I do understand your gripes with the swift start. What I feel like you almost need to do is like break out the swift start and play through the like, because I think it goes through like 4 or 5 rounds, right? Or turns.
Yeah.
I think maybe like you do those 5 to like, because those 5, it does do a good job of telling you what each section is about and how to get points.
Somewhat.
Well, we also didn't look at players, 3, 4, and 5 as far as it's assuming you're playing with a 5-player game.
Yeah, I'm saying like even just like if I was only focusing on my player mat, it only told me what the wetlands do. It didn't really tell me what the forest did or what the grasslands did. At the end of mine, it was like, okay, draw more cards. You're probably gonna need food though, and I was like, well, how am I supposed to get food? If Nick wasn't playing player 1 that says this is how you get food, I would have no idea how to get food.
So, like I said, I could see your gripes, but like I said, my only thought would just be look at all 5 of the player mats for the Swift Start. That way you kind of see, because it seems like each of them was probably meant to talk about a different area of the game.
Yeah.
Food, drawing cards, laying eggs, probably victory points and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They play through the 5 actions on each card and then start over, because now you have an idea of how the game works, and do not carry out and play through a full game with it, because every person will be pigeonholed into one type of thing.
Yeah, but like
that would be my suggestion.
But like even when Jacob played this for the first time, we just walked him through like, here's what you do. Because I feel like with the Swift Start also, like it was like, okay, place your cube on this square. Now do this. Now move your cube here. Like it didn't explain the flow very well, if you understand what I'm trying to say. Where it's like you put it in the rightmost and then you bring it down all the way to the end, doing anything along the way. It was just like, put your cube here. Okay, move it to this card and take one whatever from the supply. Okay, move your cube to the end. Done.
I don't know. I think it did. I think it did a good job of if you're going in fresh and you don't know anything about this game or how it's played.
Mm-hmm.
I think it did a decent job of telling us how to play. I think that yes, it's always going to be better to have someone who actually knows how to play tell you how to play.
Well,
I think that goes with any game.
Well, I would have rather sat down and read through the instructions than do the Swift Start, because we also didn't read through the instructions when we first played.
That's
we
true.
did
and
the
so
Swift Start
we went left instead of right. So
yeah, we didn't read the instructions. No surprise.
I think we're getting bogged down, and I did not like this one tutorial thing when it's a fantastic game.
No, it is a great game. I'm just saying, this is my one issue with it, is I didn't care for the tutorial at all. I wouldn't recommend anyone to play the tutorial. Read the rule book, read the the actions and what you're supposed to do, and then play it. And you'll have a lot of fun. Or even just go watch someone play it on YouTube. Watch them play a round or two. And
what's our kind of mock motto? Read the rules.
Read the rules. Read
the rules.
Yeah, I didn't care for the Swift Start very much. I felt like it was just telling you what to do and what to take, and not necessarily why you were doing it or how the actions were working. And that's just my opinion. I know you didn't necessarily feel that strongly, but I felt like it really pigeonholed you. And yeah, you could just play through the first, the 5 actions that it said and then restart, but that also takes like a lot of setup and then takedown and stuff like that. So
yeah,
that's my opinion. If I were to suggest this to someone, I wouldn't have them go through the Swift Start. Just read the rules and play the game.
I mean, I thought she was going to say she didn't like it because she lost.
No, no, I've lost every game we've played so far. Which
we finally found a game that I can consistently win.
So
I didn't think it would happen.
It is a fun game. I love this game. It's so pretty. I love the scoring, the different mechanics, the fact that each of the birds is different and they have little facts. Like each game you play it's never going to be the same.
Yeah, because there's like what was it, like 100 and something birds cards?
Yeah.
Like, there's like so many birds that if you actually shuffle the deck up, like the odds of you drawing like all the same ones again, it's very low.
Yeah, I love this game. This is going to be one of my new favorites. Definitely something that I would want to play, like you said, with Phil. I would want to play this with my family who don't really play board games at all. I feel like it's easy enough that you can teach it to someone that doesn't really play board games, but also more complex than like Catan. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was our board game this week. I did really love it. Please don't take my tutorial criticism to heart. I loved this game. But that was Wingspan. Definitely go and pick it up or try it on the tabletop sim. by buying that mod, right? It's a mod?
DLC.
Oh, DLC. It's really great. I totally recommend. We totally recommend.
Oh,
10 out of 10.
It was a really good
Absolutely
experience.
will play again.
All right. And so this is where we would usually close out the podcast and say goodbye and see you next week. But if you listened to our podcast last week, you know that we went into kind of a rant about Kickstarters at the beginning of the episode and ended up taking about 20 minutes of time just talking about different Kickstarters we looked at. So we wanted to keep going with our Kickstarters because we really want to support everyone that's, putting themselves out there, making these games. These creators are great. We wanted to continue to do that. So instead of putting it at the beginning, we're going to go ahead and put that here at the end. And if you listen to us or know our YouTube channel, we're going to have a separate little video that's just a breakout of our Kickstarter Corner. So you can go ahead and check that little section out too. But we'll go ahead and start talking about some Kickstarters that we have backed and that may be ending soon. And maybe you guys want to go ahead and join us in backing these. So Nick, do you want to go ahead and kick off Kickstarter Corner with your project that you backed?
Absolutely. So the one that I backed this week is called Orconomics. The headline is The Cutthroat Economic Board Game for Orc Entrepreneurs Only. So this is the second printing of this game. So I had no idea that this was a thing before seeing it here on Kickstarter. And I was just immediately enamored with this game because it has a funny, hilarious, yet entrepreneurial spirit. And I love like business management kind of games. And this is totally right up my alley.
Yeah.
So the whole premise is that like this is kind of like, imagine orc society has kind of advanced to like the modern day, where we're no longer like medieval people fighting with swords and shields and all that. We're a modern society. We got cars and industry and stuff like that. But orcs still have that bloodthirsty rage. They gotta fight things. And it's like, so how do you make an outlet for that? Well, join the world of business where cutthroat transactions and you can topple people down the ladder of industry. There's ways of defeating your opponents, and it totally sells itself that way, which is great. So I thought it was pretty flippin' awesome. I think this is actually based on a book, being that one of their like stretch goals that they unlocked is a reference to the J. Zachary Pike Orconomics book. So I have to go look up this book now because I didn't even know it was a book. So I'm really excited about it. It seems like it has the kind of thing where the board, when you first set it up, it changes every time because you draw. It's a wheel that all kind of clicks together. And each pie on this wheel is a different industry. And so you place them all, you come draw them all out and place them in a circle to make your pie chart here. And every pie is an industry, and everyone draws different industries when they start as far as which ones they can play into. Mm-hmm. And when you lay them out, the industries that you are involved in starting out, you can only branch out into neighboring industries. And so that's how you maybe you drew tourism, but your neighbor got like, I don't know, manufacturing or something. I'm not sure what all the industries are. But if the next player drew manufacturing and it's right next to tourism, you could like aggressively move into their industry to try to do like hostile takeover and stuff like that. So it seemed really cool. I am super excited. I backed it like I said, as soon as I heard about it, I backed it. And so this one still has, it looks like a week to go. So when the time that this podcast drops, I think it'll still have like 3 or 4 days left. So we're gonna have links to this Kickstarter in our in the description in the field notes. So make sure y'all go and check it out. Orconomics. So super excited.
Nice. All right. Anything else?
That's it. That's it for Orconomics. Say, Jacob, which one did what did you back?
Oh, so I backed it's actually a software called Dungeon Alchemist, and it is a map making software that deals in 3D maps for like tabletop games like D&D and those kinds of things.
Okay.
But it's it blew its goal out of the water.
They wanted 54,000, and they're at 1.8 million at the recording of this podcast.
It's still going up.
And it's still going up. And they have 6 days to go as of right now. So
yeah, when this episode drops, I think it'll still have 2 or 3.
Yeah,
it'll still have a couple days left to go.
March 11th.
But it is a really I remember I saw an ad on YouTube, and I don't usually click ads on YouTube, but I saw this one and I was like, wow, I could really use something like that, because I love making maps. Maps is they're so much fun to do, and they seem like they're going to have a lot of stuff in Dungeon Alchemist, and they look so pretty. Like they are really good looking maps.
So yeah, like I'm scrolling through the Kickstarter right now, and I gotta say this if the maps come out like this, it looks fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they do have a deal where you can export it to whatever virtual tabletop you're playing in, whether that be Roll20, Foundry, Virtual Tabletop, or
maybe even Tabletop Sim.
However, you can also print them, like as in paper prints.
Yeah, I see it down here, further down on the thing. It's got little flat mats that have the nice 3D.
Yeah, they have like the nice little buildings on them. So even if you're playing like an in-person game, you could still this still has utility.
Yeah, you can still, like, before the game, go and print out all of your little maps.
All your maps.
And then bring them with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at it. It's like it looks like it's perfectly optimized for those tabletop RPGs with like the nice grid system and everything built onto it.
Oh yeah. No, like they even show it in. They have a picture of it imported into virtual Foundry Virtual Tabletop.
Oh yeah.
On their Kickstarter page, and it looks so pretty. I saw it and I was like, usually I get YouTube ads for like crappy mobile games and stuff like that. So even when I saw this, I was like, I'll let y'all know how it is when it comes out. But
so yeah,
I have high hopes.
If
I have high hopes for this.
If it even partially delivers on what they're promising,
it's going to be amazing.
I think you're going to be real happy, and I think Philip is probably going to buy this as soon as it's available on Steam.
Oh yeah. So. I don't know how much it's going to be on Steam, but
I mean, honestly,
because it is good to
if you have like really positive hands-on experience, Philip, who is like an avid DM who like spent hundreds of hours prepping the last campaign we played,
last game we did,
he would jump on this.
Oh, and that's the thing, because it looks really simple right now. From what I'm seeing, it doesn't look optimized for like really big things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're probably going to map out a room of a dungeon in this, and then you like do it modularly.
Yeah, which I think most D&D stuff probably should be modularly, because you don't want to like lay out the whole epic dungeon in front of your players and they'll be like, well, I really see how deep this is going to go. No, you wanted them to see like one room.
Yeah, that way it's like, okay, well, I'm going to open that door. It's like, okay, well, that door leads to this room.
Snap.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but like looking at it, it's meant for kind of like small scale encounter maps, which I guess was really all you need. Y'all are right.
Yeah, when you actually need a map, all you really need are these smaller scale ones.
Mm-hmm.
I would think. I've never DM'd before. I'm not going to pretend like I know what kind of maps you need, but it seems like the bigger, grander scale ones, when you're talking about like the city of whatever, you don't need a nitty gritty map like this. This is just like, oh, here's a map of the city. Right. You're going to go to the docks district and do something? I don't know.
Well, based on this, too, on the how does it work, it says select a size for your map, and you can pick, like, based on sheets of paper, and then there's also one that says infinite. So I'm assuming that's for, like, computer-based. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're not going to... Yeah,
you're not going to print an infinite map.
No. Watch me, Erica.
The ink that you would waste.
But you could drop that bad boy into like Roll20 and shabam.
Well, see, and if you look at their prints, it looks like you can print, like you don't have to do the flat orthographic projection for a map. You can have like a bit of perspective with like shadows and it looks like what are walls.
For the printables, it seems like like that stereotypical, like when you're looking for new apartments and they've got like the top down view,
It's
but
got
it's
a
still
floor
like
plan view.
3D-ish. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's exactly what it
We
looks
need to
like.
like
But no,
send this to like apartment complexes so they can make better maps of their
Hey.
apartments.
that's exactly what we need to do.
Great.
But that is Dungeon Alchemist. They currently have a crap ton of options for you to pledge.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the cheapest is the basic, which is $30. You can go all the way up to 1,000 if you would. The 1,000 one gets you 2 lifetime licenses for Dungeon Alchemist. Unique painting of your likeness in Dungeon Alchemist.
Oh my God. Your
You
own
can
flag
add
design.
Kickstarter exclusive object set, your name in the credits, access to the beta program, which I'm guessing is going to come out
Beta
sometime.
Yeah.
Sometime, what did we say, Q3 this year?
Yeah, so they'll probably get access to the beta probably shortly after this campaign stops.
Yeah.
And then
and
then the real program drops later in the year. So.
Yeah, and then all the stretch goals that they've blown out of the water.
I guarantee they've probably hit all the stretch goals.
Oh,
yeah,
see,
no, they definitely have. The last one was 1 million, and they've done that.
And it's wonderful because that means that I've hit all the stretch goals, because even the $30 guy gets the stretch goals.
Well, yeah, because all the stretch goals are just like, hey, we're going to add bonus content into it, you know?
Yeah, the water one looks really cool. You can add little like rivers and beaches and stuff. I think that's awesome.
It's gonna be great. But
This is gonna be awesome.
that's Dungeon Alchemist.
Yeah, awesome. So we will definitely have the link for that bad boy in the field notes.
Definitely.
And so, Erica, which one did you support this week?
So this week I supported Chamber of Wonders, and this one says, send your agents in London's various areas, collect unique objects, and try to set up the best Chamber of Wonders. And so what really drew me into this one was the art style. It looks very Darkest Dungeon.
I saw that. Yeah, it looks really... It does. It definitely looks like Darkest Dungeon.
It's very like grim, sort of like hand drawn aesthetic.
Yeah,
That was
and so the
the vibes
premise
I
of
was
this
getting.
game is that you are playing as Aristocats.
Aristocats.
Yeah.
Because everybody
wealthy
wants to be a
cats
cat.
in London. No, you're aristocrats in London, and what you're trying to do is build. So when you're that rich and you have that much money, you get bored, and so you're trying to build the collection of the best weird things, basically. And so you're sending your little people on missions to go to various places in London, like the bank, and it has like different places. What were they? It's like the bank. It's got Baker Street. It's got Big Ben. Different places around London to go and find these different wonders and artifacts and stuff to build up your collection. And so you're playing against, everyone else to see who can get the best collection. And at each of the locations, there's like little mini games that you have to play in order to win the wonder from that area.
Okay.
It seems really interesting. I love the art style. I love that right now they have unlocked an expansion for that involves Sherlock Holmes.
Oh,
And I love
nice.
Sherlock,
Well,
so-
you mentioned Baker Street, so it's gotta.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're working on that stretch goal right now. This one is also ending on March 11th, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. Since we're in Texas, that's what it's showing. So you guys have a few days to go and back this if you want to. I think it looks great. It's already surpassed its goal, so it's going to be successful, and I'm just really excited for this. It looks great.
So, and this one, it looks like they're estimating that you're going to get it in October of this year, so you don't even have to wait that long to get your game.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
No, like this one looks really great. Like, if for nothing else, the beautiful art style, like that sells me alone. But then you talk about the goofy, like aristocracy being like, well, I have the mummified hand of whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have that in your
Right.
collection, Jeeves? No. It looks
Plebeian.
plebeian. absolutely barbaric.
Yeah, and it says that there's 92 different wonder cards. So that's how many different things there are in this game that you can collect for your little display. I'm very excited. It looks so great. And then it's also got little like cardboard cutout standing buildings for the different locations you go to. So the map will be like tall also. Like you'll be able to see these little, structures out there.
They're like landmarks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see it where it's got like Buckingham Palace and stuff like that on there. That's really cool. Such a fantastic visual aesthetic.
I know.
I can't wait for us to get a copy of this and pop that bad boy open.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
Well, all right. So that was our 3 main Kickstarters for.
Yeah. So this week, we
this
did
week.
Orconomics, we did Dungeon Alchemist, and Chamber of Wonders, and they are all still open Kickstarters. You got till a little bit later this week to back them.
Yeah. As of the release of this episode.
As of this episode, you still have a couple of days on each of them.
If you're listening to this on launch date, then you still have time.
Yeah.
Go support them. All right.
Well, all right.
All right. Well, thanks guys for coming to another. Everyone wants to close it. Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Unearthing Games Podcast, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.